Okay. Do you believe in ghosts, UFOs, or aliens? If your answer is yes, in our culture, you might be looked at like you're crazy. But in Native American culture, these beliefs are deeply rooted into their culture and are important to them and hold significant cultural importance. I chose this topic because I knew that my audience would enjoy hearing about it versus maybe some other topic. I have been interested in topics like this since I was around 8 or 9 when I watched X-Files with my mom, and I even went to my 3rd grade career day as Agent Scully from X-Files. Recently, what piqued my interest in it was I have been watching Unsolved Mysteries, and there was an episode called Paranormal Rangers about the Navajo Nation, different experiences they've had related to UFOs, Bigfoots, and skinwalkers. The research I've done for this, I did find one scholarly article that I got some information from, but I'll be honest, there was not a lot scholarly on it, so I did rely on YouTube videos, the Netflix documentary episode, and some articles here and there. And I did find one book too that I've looked at some chapters on. Why you should listen to this is because I believe it's important to get an understanding of a culture that's not just something you'd see in the mainstream or in a textbook. Just because it's not in a textbook doesn't mean that it's not important. Exploring Native American mythology surrounding UFOs, Bigfoot, and skinwalkers offers a fascinating look into cultural beliefs and also sparks curiosity about the mysteries of the world. After listening, you'll hopefully have a greater appreciation for Native American mythology as it relates to UFOs, Bigfoots, and skinwalkers, and no longer view it as antiquated or senseless beliefs or superstitions. The first of those 3 I'll be talking about today is Bigfoot. You've all probably heard of Bigfoot. It's been a cultural phenomenon since 1967. There's this famous video called Patterson-Gimlin video here. Okay, there it is.
Okay.
So, the public has been fascinated since 1967 when this video came out. It's been disputed, but ever since then there's been just different TV shows, merchandise, podcasts that have come out on it, different cultural phenomenons. Several tribes have legends dating back to 500 to 1,000 years ago regarding Bigfoot. This is from a glyph that the Yokit tribe painted about 500 to 1,000 years old is how old that's estimated to be. In 1721, a Jesuit priest that lived with the Natchez Indians, he journaled that he even had experience with Bigfoot even going back to 1721. There were livestock mutilations, and they heard vocalizations, screaming that are said to be related to Bigfoot. The Shayla tribe has stories about something called Sasquatch, which has been anglicized to sound like Sasquatch, which roughly translates to hairy man. Out in Navajo Nation, many alleged sightings of Bigfoot have been reported. There are, in the documentary Unsolved Mysteries, the episode about Paranormal Rangers with Stan Milford and Jonathan Dover, there were, in a short period of time, there were 30 sightings along the San Juan River in the Navajo Nation. The Navajo Nation is this area here. It's 27,000 square miles. And these Navajo Rangers, they were tasked with investigating these paranormal activities. So, one of the examples was this man saw this Bigfoot leap over a fence, and later on they went to go look at this fence, and there was a clump of hair there, and the hair was analyzed later on, DNA extracted and everything, and it was, the test results came back inconclusive or unknown carnivore. And in the documentary they just kind of drove the point home that they have thousands of animals to compare it to, so the fact that it was unknown is really just crazy. So another example of a sighting is Brenda Harris in 2008. She described her experience on this episode of Paranormal Rangers. In 2008, she lived in a mobile home along the San Juan River, and she was sitting with her family in the living room one night, and they heard loud sounds on their porch and heard jiggling of the doorknob, and she went and opened the door, and she said she was face to face with a tall, hairy, scraggly creature, and luckily it darted away, but the whole rest of the night it was jiggling that door, but it finally went away when daybreak came, and it was nowhere to be found. And you know, she, even to this day, she wonders why it kept coming back. Why did it want to get in her home? So the Navajo Rangers in this documentary said that the Bigfoot sightings that were reported correlate with UFO sightings, actually, and that's what I'll be talking about next. So the term UFO was coined in 1953 by the Air Force, just as a kind of catch-all term for anything unidentified that you see in the air. So there, in 1952, UFOs came into pop culture when this picture came out. It was taken in New Jersey, and ever since then, you know, it's been debunked. People don't think it's real, but Photoshop was way less common back then, so a lot of people thought if there was a picture of it, it's real. There's also a group called MUFON, Mutual UFO Network, which they're a nonprofit group that kind of investigates claims besides the Navajo Rangers. In pop culture, there's TV shows, X-Files, of course, I mentioned earlier, and even the military nowadays has kind of come out and said that there are a lot of things they don't know about these videos that we're seeing lately. In the documentary I watched, the episode on this young woman from Flagstaff actually reported that one night she was traveling home back to the reservation, and her car was followed by a red orb, and when she made a turn around the corner, she wasn't looking at it anymore and turned her head and looked back at it, and it was suddenly a white orb following her for miles and miles. And then at one point it darted in front of her and then shot straight up into the sky. That's her retelling of it, and the documentary, she went anonymous because she didn't want to be looked at as crazy. So another UFO sighting on this documentary was this non-Navajo resident of in the reservation, who he saw out on Satan's Butte across the way. He saw these little lights out in the horizon several days in a row, and one day he went out there and there was this huge light, and then the light had little tendrils coming out from it. He didn't know if that was a UFO spaceship or whatever, but he did take a picture of it, and there's a kind of blurry picture. I wasn't able to get, Netflix would not let me take a screenshot. So, there's lots of UFO sightings in the Navajo Nation. And then, you know, the next thing I want to talk about is skinwalkers. So skinwalkers are described as entities that are supposed to have the ability to shapeshift into other creatures such as coyotes and wolves. They're lesser known out in non-Native American culture because it is said to be bad luck to even discuss skinwalkers, and The fact that you are discussing skinwalkers means that you are in fact a skinwalker yourself. The Navajo word for skinwalker is Naldalushi, and it means roughly, by means of it, it goes on all fours. They're said to be powerful witches or corrupt medicine men. And they gained insight into higher power, and they're using it for nefarious means and to inflict pain upon each other or other people. And it said that the only way you become a skinwalker is by killing a family member or friend, so that even adds another layer to it. So with the skinwalkers, there's not many reports of it because of it being extreme bad luck to talk about it, but Ranger Dover from the Netflix documentary episode had his own story that he wanted to tell. He one night was driving home in the reservation, and he looked over out his window, and there was this creature as tall as his car, canine-like head, glowing orange eyes, traveling highway speeds right alongside of him. And it just seemed like it was looking right at him. And when he went home, he's told his father this, and his father said, yeah, that's a skinwalker, son. And it said that seeing a skinwalker is a kind of an omen that somebody wants to harm somebody or in your family, so it's something to watch out for and be wary for. So as you can see, there are many spirits and entities to be wary of when in the Navajo Nation. There's even a documentary called Skinwalker Ranch that details so many paranormal happenings and goings on regarding that area. There are many mysterious events going on over there. So many eyewitnesses that, I mean, they can be easily explained by a skeptic, but to me, having these people go on a Netflix documentary for the world to see, friends, family to see, I think it's pretty hard to discount those stories myself. I mean, there's a saying, why would you go and lie on the internet? But I don't know. It just seems kind of hard to discount all of these experiences. They're not all lying. These legends all have importance in Native American culture. They've been passed down from generation to generation, mostly oral tradition. They don't really like non-Native Americans to hear it and listen to it. It's something they hold close. But I do think it's important that people hear the intricacies of it so that they don't think, oh, Native Americans are just all superstitious and paranoid. It's important to get a deeper understanding, So, I'm going to ask again, do you believe in aliens, ghosts, and Bigfoot? Your answer probably will be the same, but hopefully you'll have gained a greater appreciation for the possibilities of the unknown anomalies not yet discovered in the world. All right, no. Did you close it? Oh, thank God. Okay. Okay, because you have to video them after. Okay, there they all are.